Welcome. We are talking about the power of questions, unlocking conversations where we explore how the right questions can transform our conversations and deepen our connections with others. I am Shirley Farrar, and this is Encouragement on Fire. Welcome to the space. So today, we'll dive into how we can foster meaningful dialogue through the art of questions. While we're discovering the profound impact it can have on our relationships. Questions are more than just tools for gathering information. They are keys that unlock doors to deeper understanding. They unlock empathy. They also unlock connection. A Dr. Arthur Aaron, I believe, a social psychologist known for his research on relationships and interpersonal attraction. His work, particularly on the 36 questions that lead to love, highlights how deep, open-ended questions can foster intimacy and connection between people. Now, he's only one. There's so many who have research. Instead of asking questions that limit responses like, did you enjoy the movie? You and we should aim for open-ended questions that invite dialogue. So let's consider the what and the how. These types of inquiries encourage elaboration and exploration. For instance, instead of asking, did you have a good day? I do that often, but I'm learning. We both might say, what made today a special day for you? This encourages the other person to share their experiences, their feelings, their insights, and it creates an opportunity for richer exchange. One of the most powerful aspects of questioning is the ability to follow curiosity. When we're engaging in conversation, it can be tempting to change topics as soon as we feel a lull. How many of us do that? However, pausing can lead to fuller, more meaningful answers. Allowing silence after question gives the other person time to reflect, time to respond thoughtfully, rather than feeling rushed to fill the void. Imagine if we took the time to allow the other person that opportunity. Imagine you ask someone, how have you been feeling about your new job? And after their initial response and pause, that silence can invite them to elaborate on their feelings, their experiences, and even their fears about the transition, which will ultimately reveal layers of their thoughts that may not have come to light without their space. In the Holy Bible, there is a beautiful example of a powerful questioning, and it is in Mark 10:51. When Jesus encounters blind Bartimaeus, Jesus asks him, what do you want me to do for you? We ask that question all the time, don't we? This question isn't just about providing a solution, though. It acknowledges Bartimaeus' humanity and individuality. It invites Bartimaeus to express his desires and needs clearly and directly. This moment in this scripture teaches us two important lessons. One, two. First, the importance of asking questions that empowers others to share their true intentions. And secondly, it exemplifies the depth of compassion and connection that can arise when we take the time to ask meaningful questions. How many meaningful questions have you asked this week? In our own lives, we can reflect on how we phrase our inquiries. Are we creating space for others to express themselves just as Jesus did with Bartimaeus? Or are we constantly talking about ourselves? So, how can we put this into practice? I'd like to introduce a simple exercise for you to try in your next conversation. You know I'm going to say that. I want you to aim to ask 3 open-ended questions this week. I want it to be questions like, what has been a highlight of your week? Or, how do you feel about the changes happening at work? Once you've asked your questions, allow silence to stretch. Let's try it. Resist the urge to fill the space immediately and trust that the person you're engaged with in conversation will take the initiative to respond. You might be surprised by the depth of the conversation that follows when you give them that space. Now, before we wrap up for today, let's remember the words from Proverbs 18:13, which reminds us to answer before listening, that is folly and that is shame. Asking good questions, it's just about seeking answers. It's about listening without intention and discovering the richness that can emerge from genuine dialogue. Hmm. Well, thank you for joining me today with our topic, the power of questions. I encourage you to take this challenge into your next week and your interactions. Remember, your questions can create bridges to deeper understanding and connection. So, until next time, stay curious and may your conversations this week be filled with insight and with grace. Well, I am Shirley Fawal, and this has been Encouragement on Fire. I'll talk to you soon.